Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hi, and welcome to the show. This is your host, Barak. And today I have a very special guest. Now, I know every host in every show says the same thing. I have a special guest. All the guests are special. But today, this is not a platitude. Today, I want to present to you a friend of mine, somebody I've worked with in the last 5-6 years. That's Mr. Kevin Harrington. Hello, Kevin. Good to have you.
How are you doing? Good to see you, man. Great to be here today.
Thank you. Now, a few words about Kevin. If you don't know him, if you have lived under a rock in the last 35, 40 years. So Kevin, first of all, is the inventor of the infomercial. He is a scene on TV pioneer, and he is known as one of the original sharks in the hit show Shark Tank. Now, he earned that position or that invitation to the show after many years of entrepreneurship, more years than probably he cares to admit. Now, during that time, he launched over 500 products. He sold over $5 billion worth of merchandise, and he took over 20 of his companies to over $100 million. Is that right? Did I say it correctly, Kevin?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Had a good run over the last couple of years, right?
Exactly. And I'm so honored to have you here. And I'm going to start with a question that a lot of my audience probably are looking to hear, and probably you've been asked about in the past. A lot of my friends that know that we have a connection ask me, so I believe that a lot of people have that in mind. So you've been in Shark Tank, and you ran 2 seasons, 170 episodes, if I recall correctly.
Yep.
And that's a great achievement, to be nominated for something like that. Why did you leave?
Yeah. So, and actually it's 175 segments, and there's 5 segments to a show. So when it's all said and done, I did dozens and dozens of shows. But think of it this way. I took 175 pitches on Shark Tank, and in the early years, the volume of submissions was very low because the show didn't exist. I mean, think about it. When we did season 1, we were filming and the show had never aired yet, so nobody even knew to bring their products yet to the show. By the time we got to season 2, more products were coming in. Season 3 and 4 on, the volume was large and better flow of opportunity. So Barak, think of it this way. If every day you went to work and somebody said to you, okay, today you're going to look at 5 deals, you have to invest in something. Okay? Like, wait a minute. You mean, what if I don't like them? Well, this is a show where you got to have action, okay? So Mark Burnett would come down, we'd film all morning, and nobody would do a deal because there was nothing exciting. We're investors, okay? I mean, I went on the show as an investor. Mark Burnett was producing quality television content, and that's where there was a little bit of a conflict in the beginning. Is it made for TV, or is this made for an investor? It was tough for the deals I was doing to see light at the end of the tunnel as an investor. And I said, hey, I get so many pitches every day as it is. I don't need to be on a TV show just to take pitches that maybe don't make sense for me for whatever reason. Now, at the end of the day, as the show got more seasons, the quality of deal flow got better. So, I was investing a lot of money in deals that I didn't necessarily have the opportunity to build into huge businesses. I think today it's a different story there, but I think you can understand. As a straight investor, people say to me, why did you invest in the golf club that you pee in? Okay. The Euro Club. Okay. And I'm like, because we didn't have a lot of great things to invest in. That was a viral product that I thought maybe would get some good traction on it. So, at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do. But had a lot of fun on the show. All my shows are currently rerunning now very successfully on CNBC on a regular basis. So, and also on a global basis too, because Shark Tank is all around the world.
Exactly. And now you have a chance basically to help a lot more people now that you have that exposure, basically.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, look, I would go to Shark Tank. We'd spend weeks out there. I would see dozens of people. In weeks at home, I can see, thousands of people online now. I mean, the whole world has changed with the COVID pandemic. It used to be people wanted to meet with you face to face and pitch you. And that became very restrictive on how many people you could see. I mean, there's days when I take pitch after pitch after pitch after pitch after pitch on my computer, Zoom, just like we're doing right now. I don't need to be face to face in these initial pitches. So I have the ability to see far more people this way than I do spending weeks going out to film, a couple of segments.
Got it. Okay, awesome. Now you have a book coming out, and the book is called Mentor to Millions, and you wrote it with Mark Thiem.
Yes.
The book is coming out on September 22nd, which accidentally it's my wife's birthday, so it's a very special day.
My wife is on September 26th, so
all right,
a couple days off there. There we go.
Okay. So so I want to drill down on the subject of mentorship a little bit more. And I wanted to, first of all, tell me a little bit about your first mentor, which I believe that's your dad, right?
Yeah. I joke a little bit when I say I had a mentor when I was 11 years old, and is my father, Charlie. Okay. My father was a bartender. I'm one of 6 kids. There's not a lot of money in the family in the early days. And so he saved up some money, though, and opened up his own business, Harrington's Irish Pub. So at 11 years old, he was teaching me the inner workings of the restaurant business. He would close the financial books at the end of the day, and he would show me that. And we would go to meet suppliers, and we'd go to trade shows. And I was learning the business side of restaurants, not just washing dishes. And so when I turned 15, my dad said, it's time for you to own your own business. And selfishly, he was getting me prepared to start paying for my own education. I paid for my own high school. When I got to college, he said, you're the 4th of 6. You're going to have to pay for your tuition, your books, your room, your board, your car, your insurance, everything. And I needed a full-time business. So I started a heating and air conditioning business there in college, and ended up junior year dropping out of college because I had 25 employees. Right? I'd go to school from 8 a.m. till noon. I'd get to the office at around 1, 25 people, 6 trucks going out every day. And I'm like, wow, this is bedlam. I just can't keep doing both. So dropped out of school, ran the business, built it to a $5 million a year business, and I sold it. And then one day I'm watching television. I had bought a house, and I'm watching cable TV. And all of a sudden I was on channel 30 of a 30 channel package. It was Discovery Channel, and boom, it went dark, the TV. And I'm up there trying to figure out what's going on. It was dark for 6 hours. I called the cable company and I said, hey, I've got a problem here. I got 29 beautiful channels, ESPN for sports, HBO for movies, and I'm on Discovery Channel. It's channel 30. There's nothing there. And they said, oh, Discovery's only an 18-hour-a-day network. It's a brand new channel. We don't program it 24 hours a day. We program it 18 hours a day. And there's 6 hours that will have nothing. And that's when the light bulb went off in my head. Wait a minute. You said nothing? No programming? No programming. Great. What if I give you some programming and it sells some products and we can make some money together? And they said, you do that, we're in business. So it went down, we shook hands, I started giving them products, and that was the birth of the modern day infomercial business. This was the early 80s when I got into, I owned As Seen on TV Inc., AsSeenOnTV.com. We were rolling. We were doing kitchen products, Jack LaLanne and the Juicer, Tony Little Fitness, George Foreman, Billy Mays, you name it. We started in the early days, and we built an amazing business over the next 40 years.
Yes, and some of those brands that you just mentioned were over $1 billion of sales. I mean, this is just mind-boggling. You know, Jack LaLanne's, Foreman, the Gazelle, Yeah, those are brands.
Unbelievable success. I mean, I got in at the right time, which was the very beginning. I was able to tie up big blocks of media and create massive sales. We ended up going public. We're on the New York Stock Exchange. The stock went from $1 a share to $20 a share. So I love that kind of a situation. People ask me, what's one of your business models today? Today, I focus on helping public companies also. I joined the board. I'm a mentor, advisor to the board, and on the board in some cases. I'm on about 7 or 8 public boards right now. And I love seeing stock appreciation. I like to see stocks going up.
Okay, good. Now, and I have another question about mentorship. Do you think that a mentor is needed just in the first steps of being an entrepreneur, or is it something that somebody needs all the time? Tell me a little bit about how is working with a mentor throughout the career of an entrepreneur.
I believe so. I've been an entrepreneur for north of 40 years, and when I first started, I was more ego oriented about me, the entrepreneur, wanting to do things myself. I didn't need to pay people big money to do other things like finance, et cetera. And then when I built the business, we needed capital because I started with my own small amount of capital, but we were taking our profits, plugging it back in. So at one point I decided, hey, look, I need some help in the world of finance. I'm a great marketing guy, and we were a startup. And so I had gone to 5 banks trying to get financing, got turned down everywhere. I ran into a mentor that said, this was a former bank president who had retired. He looked at my business and he said, Kevin, you got turned down from 5 banks. You're trying to raise $3 million. I'm going to make you a deal. I'm going to mentor you for 90 days. And in 90 days, I'm going to have $3 million for you. And it's probably going to come from one of the banks that turned me down, because he knew one of the guys from one of the banks that turned me down. And so I said, what's that going to cost me? He said, it cost you nothing. He said, I'm going to mentor you for free. At the end of 90 days, the money's in your account. You're going to come to me and say, hey, I need you. Let's do some business. So then we can cut a deal from there. And I thought that was a great offer. 90 days of free mentoring, $3 million cash in the bank, with a loan from the bank. And then I can decide whether I want to bring this guy on in some official capacity. And by the way, it all happened. We took that money. We went from 50 million eventually to over $500 million in annual sales. Okay. But because we got a line of credit, we got a $3 million line, eventually a $10 million line from Chemical Bank in New York. We were on a roll. So mentors, yes. If you're an entrepreneur, get one, get him early. And I say early and often is my motto when it comes to mentors. Okay.
Okay, good. Awesome. Now, another question about entrepreneurship. What do you see that is the biggest struggle that entrepreneurs have, and what's stopping most of the people that are actually trying to make it?
I think there's a couple things. If you're a first-time entrepreneur, it's the problem you have is lack of knowledge and how to do it. Okay. So, there's so many mistakes you can make. I mean, I could go through multiple mistakes, but I mean, for example, at one point I had 12 different products, but we were running them all through one merchant account. One of the products, I was getting bad quality goods from China, defective merchandise. 30% of what they shipped me was defective. So I didn't know it until I turned around and shipped it out to my consumer. And now I'm getting massive complaints at the bank. Well, the bank shut our whole merchant account down, the everything for all 12 products. But this one product only represented about 3% of our sales. So 3%er cost me almost the whole company, because we didn't understand we need separate merchant accounts for separate products. And so, make a long story short, entrepreneurs need help. Entrepreneurs need mentors. And And this is why I wrote the book, Mentor to Millions, because it's not about millions of dollars. It's about the impact that having a mentor can bring to the table. Mentors can build millions of dollars in company size. And this is what Mentor to Millions is all about. How do you use a mentor to build your business to millions, and the impact that exponentially gets created by having a mentor?
Awesome. So you mentioned one reason entrepreneurs are basically getting stops, which is lack of knowledge. What's the second one?
So lack of knowledge. Number two is lack of capital. Every single day, I'm talking to dozens and dozens and dozens. We get 150 submissions a week from people looking for help. 90% of them plus are looking for cash. Okay. So, so number one, lack of experience. Number two, lack of capital. Number three, the not lack of proper planning. I say you need a really good business plan. Also, number four would be, do you have proof of concept? And have you identified your customer acquisition cost? I'm a numbers guy. I want to see customer acquisition cost. I want to see lifetime value or the average order value of the customer. And then proof of concept. Okay. So this is something else that entrepreneurs lack sometimes. They got a great idea, but it's just that. I mean, I'm dealing with right now an entrepreneur that is showing me a product that is similar in the market, and they want to do something similar to what's already out. And I'm like, okay, but you're going to have to do engineering. You're going to have to do prototyping. You're going to have to do all these things. And they just don't understand. This all costs money. It's like, well, why can't I just have a factory make it? Well, they can, but they charge. Okay. They need capital. They got to buy the raw materials. They got to hire engineers. They got to do tooling. It's cost money. Okay. So there's, a lot of people would come on Shark Tank, and there was a selfish attitude of me. I want money. I deserve money. You're the shark. Just give me some money. Right. It's like, no, we're investors. Okay. Yeah. We need a return on our investment.
That's great. That's a great point. And then when you have somebody by your side that has the experience, that has the knowledge, he can direct you and basically prevent a lot of mistakes.
Exactly. And that's probably the last thing, is that people, we talked about, they don't have the knowledge, they don't have the capital, they don't have the business plan, they don't have the proof of concept, they don't have the customer acquisition costs and all their numbers down, but they also have not surrounded themselves yet with what I call the dream team of experts. And so oftentimes, the worst deal I did on Shark Tank, a woman sold me on her capabilities as an entrepreneur, but she was a solo entrepreneur. She's the only one in the company. And she ended up running through a lot of capital in a very quick period of time. And so she didn't have the finance background that I had wished she had. And we didn't oversee it properly. And make a long story short, she rifled through about $500,000 before we were able to find out that it was too late. She'd gone through all the money.
Wow. Okay. And now I wanted to ask you about fear, because a lot of people that need a mentor would probably stop themselves because of not believing in themselves. I see a lot of entrepreneurs. I work also with a lot of business owners, and I see sometimes somebody does have a good idea, but he is afraid, and he basically stops himself. What can you say about that, and what can be a resolution for that?
So I think that one of the things, I was very fortunate to have a very cool mentor in my life. His name is Zig Ziglar. Many of you out there that are listening probably are familiar with the amazing Zig Ziglar. Now, Zig, as he mentored me on sales and motivation and training, that, he was a real powerful closer. Closing the sale. That was, Zig wrote the book, The Secrets of Closing the Sale. And he had over 100 closes in that book. But his really big starting point with sales was getting the right mindset. Okay. So Zig's programs revolve not just about, closing techniques, but they revolve around really getting the right mindset and positioning yourself so that you don't have fear, so that you wake up in the morning. In fact, between Napoleon Hill and Zig Ziglar and one of my other great followers, people that I followed, J. Douglas Edwards, as well as another gentleman down in Waco, Texas, Paul J. Myers, that there was a concept that these guys all had, and it goes along these lines. Whatever you vividly imagine, ardently desire, sincerely believe, and enthusiastically act upon must inevitably come to pass. And this is a philosophy, and that is an actual quote from Paul J. Meyer, but Napoleon Hill said, whatever you conceive and you believe, you must be able to achieve. And it's a similar thought, but this is mental preparedness, mental toughness, putting your mindset into a position of believing what you can do and going after it. So, I think part of the challenge with fear is the lack of knowledge of what's going to happen as you execute your plan to be an entrepreneur. So if you're afraid because you don't know what's going to happen, so don't be afraid, believe. You need to have a vivid imagination. You have to have a great desire. But the third step is, so vividly imagining, ardently desiring, and here's maybe the missing link for these people with fear, sincerely believe that you can get there. So do you believe that you can be a successful entrepreneur? If you have fear, you may not believe it, but you need to overcome that, because it's the belief in yourself as an entrepreneur that leads to the next step, which is enthusiastically acting upon your endeavor. And now it must inevitably come to pass. And so when you believe it and you get that fear out of the way, now you're acting upon it, making it happen. Now it's home run city. So those are the steps that I use, and that's how I overcome fear.
Great. And you answered in what you said now, you just answered the great question of what comes first, taking action or getting the self-confidence. Because a lot of people say, hey, you know what? I'm not confident because I've never done it. And then, therefore I don't believe. But that's what prevents me from actually taking action. Exactly. So what should I do first? And I think that you just now covered basically.
You need to get the confidence. You need to get the right mindset. Otherwise it's going to be a short-lived situation. If you don't put the mindset on properly up front, what happens as you're building out your entrepreneurial dreams? I was building my dreams, and guess what? My mother would tell me, and this is when I was a kid, what are you wasting your time for being your own boss? This is ridiculous. You need to be a banker or a lawyer or an accountant. Go to college, get your degree. This entrepreneurship is not for you. It's a waste of time. And God bless my mom. I loved her. And I listened to her for part of that, but then I realized she didn't understand me and the confidence that I had built in my own abilities. And I was out knocking on doors when I was 15 years old, getting the door slammed in my face, but overcoming that fear in the process. And once I learned how to close the deal from somebody that literally was about to slam the door, and I knock on the door, and I was doing driveway sealing, and the door, listen, it's dinner time. I don't have time for you. And he's ready to slam and say, hey, I understand, sir, not a problem. But that crack out there that you've got, that when the water freezes in the winter and it triples the size of it, if you'd like, I could come back after dinner and show you how we can prevent that crack from tripling in size. Oh, would you be willing to do that? Can you come back in a half hour? Yes. Close the deal when I got back there, because I wasn't afraid anymore. So this is what you got to do, Barak.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, taking action, I think it's one of the biggest. And I think that a mentor can prod you into taking action and doing things that you otherwise would be frozen. Okay, great. So now, another question about, I see that a lot of entrepreneurs are getting like a glass ceiling, and they cannot get over that, getting a certain size of their company, and whatever they do, they don't manage to break through. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. So Zig Ziglar has a great story that he tells. He says He takes a little glass and puts a bunch of fleas in there, and then he puts a lid over the glass. And now the fleas are jumping up, trying to get out, right? And they jump, they keep hitting the lid. And about a day later, Zig would remove the lid. And now what do? They still are jumping to the height of the lid. They can't get out. It's an open top, and they're jumping, but they can't get out because they've been conditioned just to go so far. This is what the problem many entrepreneurs have. They're the same problem is they used to building $1 million business or used to building a $10 million business. In the book, Mentor to Millions, it's a journey that I take as a mentor with my mentee, Mark Tim. And Mark Tim had 2 businesses that he grew to 10 million and sold them. And I said, Mark, why don't you program your mind to build $100 million businesses? I've done 20 $100 million companies. And he's like, okay, help me understand what we need to do. And it's about creating exponential opportunities. Mark used to, as he was building his business, he would add more employees, which makes it more difficult because the more employees, the more space, the more overhead, the less profits, you're going to be limited in growth. I said, you need to be thinking about transactional functionality, where instead of employees, you can hire fulfillment centers, phone centers, customer service centers, contract it out. You don't have any limitations on growth. And now Mark he had 2 companies. He took to 10 million. His next company is now it's beyond 10, on its way to $100 million. So this is all part of the process. And it starts with mindset, but it starts also with having a good mentor.
That's great. And yeah, the mentor, I think, helps you get this right mindset that otherwise you are basically preconditioned, like you said about the fleas that are being, that they don't know that they can break through. And somebody basically needs to show them the way and take the first steps. And that's great. And that's actually I wanted to lead to the book. And you mentioned how you take your mentee in that journey and cover. And I read the book. It's a great book. I read it cover to cover. And I wanted to say that it teaches a lot of principles through the experiences that you and Mark have experienced, and it also touches the family a little bit, right?
Oh yeah.
Can you tell a little bit about that to the audience?
Yeah. So Mark Tim the book starts with Mark driving into his home driveway, and he had the most amazing day at work. He's supercharged and excited and happy, and he's sitting in his driveway capturing the last moments of happiness before he goes into the house where his family is going to be. Where have you been? You're late. We already had dinner. What's going on? This is terrible. And all of that, right? So he's like, I just need to get the last bit of excitement in my life before I get confronted with all the negativity of the family. And so as we go through this journey together, me, the mentor, Mark, the mentee, part of the discovery is that the greatest business that Mark ever created was now going to happen as he turned his family into a business. And so holding regular meetings and printing business cards and having titles. And now he included his family in his entrepreneurial explosions. He started bringing his family to meetings with me and actually had for 30 days rented a place here in St. Pete, Florida, even though he lives in Indianapolis. And so the journey that we take was powerful and magically transformational for Mark, because through this, he connected with his family in a bigger way. And that's the most valuable business that Mark ever created, is the business he created with his family. So it was an amazing kind of magical transformational story that occurred during the mentoring process with Mark and myself.
Great. Awesome. And that's my recommendation. It's a great book. And I'm saying that not just because I'm part of launching this book, and I'm grateful being in your team and doing that. So I wanted people to pre-order the book. The book again is launching on September 22nd, 2020. But you can purchase now a book, and you have some bonuses for people that pre-order.
Yeah.
Right?
So Barack, the book is really cool. Here it is, Mentor to Millions, Mark, Tim, and myself. And at kevinmentor.com is where you can get an advance copy. The book will be out in a couple of weeks, but for those that come in early right now, the book's $18. So its value is there just for the book. But for those that buy the book in pre-sale right now, we give you a 30-day free mentoring program that Mark and I present. It's virtual events, it's live events, it's 30 days. We've been filming lots of great content. So you're going to get 30 days of free mentoring. It's $1,000 value plus a few other downloads if you order the $18 book now. So it's an unbelievable deal. Order the book for $18, get $1,000 in free downloads as well as a 30-day mentoring program. I just say it is an amazing way to connect with the shark, connect with Mark Tim, read a story about the venture and the journey that Mark and I take. It's powerful. And I want to thank you for having me today and giving me a chance to talk a little bit about my book. And for those that are interested, it's kevinmentor.com.
All right. Thank you so much, Kevin, for being here. It's great. And again, for all you guys, kevinmentor.com is where you get the book. And see you in the next show. Thank you.
Thanks, Barack. Great to see you again, buddy. Take care.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.